Great to have you with us tonight, folks. There's no doubt Republicans have run up the national debt like drunken sailors, and President Obama finally is ready to take them on and make them pick up the tab. The president drew this line in the sand this morning. I loved it.
I will not support any plan that puts all the burden for closing our deficit on ordinary Americans. And I will veto any bill that changes benefits for those who rely on Medicare but does not raise serious revenues by asking the wealthiest Americans or biggest corporations to pay their fair share. We are not going to have a one-sided deal that hurts the folks who are most vulnerable.
You know, this is what should have been said during the lame duck session of the Congress, but I'll take it now. The president let Republicans have what they wanted for the last 9 months. You know, the Bush tax cuts, it didn't work. It hasn't created any jobs to their satisfaction. Somebody needs to pick up the bar tab. Fair enough? The president has thrown down the gauntlet. The wealthy have to pay more in this country.
We can't afford these special lower rates for the wealthy. Rates, by the way, that were meant to be temporary. Back when these tax cuts back in 2001, 2003 were being talked about, they were talked about as temporary measures. We can't afford them when we're running these big deficits.
A crucial pivot by the president to try to get more money into the Treasury. President Obama wants the top 0.03% to start paying their fair share. You got that? The New York Times reported that only 450,000 Americans make $1 million or more each year in this country. Can't they do a little bit more? Republicans are furious. President Obama wants shared sacrifice for millionaires and billionaires. Republican wonder boy, Congressman Paul Ryan of Wisconsin, jumped on the president's plan on Sunday.
Class warfare, Chris, may make for really good politics, but it makes for rotten economics. We don't need a system that seeks to divide people. We don't need a system that seeks to prey on people's fear, envy, and anxiety. We need a system that creates job and innovation and removes these barriers for entrepreneurs to go out and rehire people.
Yeah, right. Same old garbage. The president took direct aim at the class warfare garbage talking point today.
Now, we're already hearing the usual defenders of these kinds of loopholes saying this is just class warfare. I reject the idea that asking a hedge fund manager to pay the same tax rate as a plumber or a teacher is class warfare. I think it's just the right thing to do. I believe the American middle class, who've been pressured relentlessly for decades, believe it's time that they were fought for as hard as the lobbyists and some lawmakers have fought to protect special treatment for billionaires and big corporations.
It is also predictable. Paul Ryan and his buddies in the House have used the class warfare talking point for years. Aren't you getting tired of it? This chart shows exactly who Republicans have staged class warfare against: the middle class and the poor. Now look at this. Over the last 30 years, the top 1% had a 40% jump in wealth, and the top 5% has had an 80% jump. Folks, the numbers are what they are. I mean, this is all during the same period. You know, the poor has seen a decrease in wealth. Tell me about fairness. Republicans, you know what they are? They are absolutely numb to these numbers. John Boehner, he doesn't give a damn about 400,000 manufacturing jobs which have been left and gone out of Ohio over those years. He doesn't care about those Toledo buildings and all that property that's being sold off to the Chinese piece by piece. This should be the concern. The Tan Man, of course, hammered the president for asking millionaires to serve up a little bit more today. Take a look.
Well, I don't believe that class warfare is leadership. And, we could get into this tax the rich, but that's not the basis for America. And it's not going to get our economy going again, and it's not going to put people back to work.
The president went after Boehner by name in his speech today. President Obama said the Tan Man, my way or the highway attitude isn't smart.
So the speaker says we can't have it my way or the highway, and then basically says my way or the highway. That's not smart. It's not right. If we're going to meet our responsibilities, we have to do it together.
The president is spot on here. We need to do this together, right? And it's not just Republicans who have to get their act together and get on board. Now, I want you to pay attention to this segment of this, folks, because this is where the rubber meets the road. 16 Senate Democrats and incumbent independent Senator Bernie Sanders are up for re-election in 2012. Don't you wonder where Claire McCaskill, where she needs to be with the president on this one? I think she does. How about Ben Nelson or Bob Casey out of Pennsylvania, Bill Nelson out of Florida? No Senate Democrat can hand the Republicans a victory on ending the Bush tax cuts for the rich and ending the wars. President Obama today threw a brick through the window and woke a sleeping giant. His own base. That's who he's waking up today. This is so black and white, it is all about the math.
Either we ask the wealthiest Americans to pay their fair share in taxes, or we're going to have to ask seniors to pay more for Medicare. We can't afford to do both. Either we gut education and medical research, or we've got to reform the tax code so that most profitable corporations have to give up tax loopholes that other companies don't get. We can't afford to do both. This is not class warfare. It's math.
The numbers clearly show President Obama's plan. It's not a liberal idea. Not at all. It's what America wants. No question about it. Just look at the numbers. Over 24 polls taken this year, 64% of Americans want tax increases to be part of any deficit reduction package. Democrats need to hammer those numbers home. Every Democrat needs to go home and give their local TV and radio market just a very simple 20-second soundbite. Now, here comes a little coaching from Big Eddie here. Here's how it ought to sound in your local market. I support the president because 98% of the American people will not be obligated to pay more. It's long overdue that we pay for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and not give the breaks to the top 2%. The wealthiest Americans need to pay more. That's where America is. That's where I am. It's called Crystal Clear Radio, the Ed Schultz Radio Show. Now, just go home. Just go home and say that with conviction in your local market. You're going to have people saying, yeah, I agree with you on that. You know, this garbage about you can't raise taxes on the job creators. You know what that is? That's nothing but a fool's errand. It's old stuff. It's down the wash. It's out the drain. Liberals need to address the finances of America with some straight talk the way the president did today. And the 16 Democrats and the one independent, who I'm definitely not worried about, Bernie Sanders, up for re-election, is just going to have to step up and say, we're with you, Mr. President. When does the President of the United States get total backing from the Senate Democrats without parceling out what if, what if? No. This is crystal clear. It's time to have the rubber meet the road and travel hard over the Republicans. It's time to tell the top 2%, 450,000 millionaires in this country, that's who the Republican Party is protecting. And the corporations, the president said today that he wants to redo the tax code. Hell, that's what the Republicans have been crying about for years. So let's get it on. No, we'll probably have more obstruction. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question, will Republicans vote for any bill that asks for shared sacrifice from the rich? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. You can always go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com and comment. We'll bring you the results later on in the program. Joining me tonight is Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky of Illinois. She is the perfect guest for this segment and this story because she has had on the table for over a year a bill that asks the wealthiest Americans to just do a little bit more so we can straighten out our fiscal house. You know what I mean? Congresswoman, great to have you with us tonight.
Thank you,
Ed. I feel like today the president made a turn. Is this a turning point? Your thoughts?
No question. The president took the reins today to try and set right what the Bush administration did, the three things that really caused the debt and the deficit, and that is the tax cuts that he gave to the rich, unpaid for, the two wars that were unpaid for, and, of course, the Great Recession that Wall Street created under his watch. And all three are addressed here, taxing the rich now, paying their fair share, ending the wars, and that's $1 trillion that we'll bring home. And the third thing was to create jobs, and that is going to stimulate the economy. So all three parts of the deficit are being addressed.
All of these tax cuts that have been given out to the, quote, job creators has been far short of what they thought it was going to be. But the key now, is it not, in this coming up in the election year, for the Democrats to be on the same page, to collectively say, and maybe even go so far as to signing a pledge, that it's over for the rich. You've had it for 10 years. Do you think the Democratic Party will follow the president on this?
Well, they certainly should. You know, the nerve of them to talk about class warfare when all of the growth in the economy, all of the wealth in the economy has gone to the